I'm Mark.
And I'm Zach.
Every week, on a Saturday, in the Fab Radio International Studios,
we discuss 3 of the week's comic book releases and decide if we want to...
pull or pass. Hello, and welcome to Pull or Pass, your weekly geeky comic book radio show. We're on issue 10, and I'm Mark. Hello, Zach.
So I jumped in early then. Yes, we are. Double numbers.
Double. That means we've done like one more than 9 issues, which is,
it is true,
longer than some comic book runs. May have made the same joke last week.
And possibly the week before. But
oh dear.
Why give up now?
I'll try not to do that. How are you, love?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
Can't complain. I can't complain, but you don't want to hear it.
Wow.
How about you, Mark? You good?
Yeah, I'm all right. We've got some good news this week.
We do.
Should we save the big one till last?
Sure, yeah.
So, this is a little bit late, but I found out that the Marvels podcast is actually available. You know, like based on Marvels, where it was pretty painting and it was in the perspective of a normal person rather than a superhero.
Of course, Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross.
That's it. Well, they've adapted that as a podcast, but I haven't seen it because it's a Stitcher exclusive.
Oh.
And I randomly found out about it. I was like, oh, right, I know Spotify. No. You can get the trailer on Spotify, but that's it. And it started last week. You've got all of them straight away if you pay them lots of money.
Oh,
but that's not really the point of podcasts. This is a podcast, and we don't charge for it. Although
maybe we should.
Perhaps we don't have no. Perhaps we don't have the audience that Marvel has. But yeah, it's next year, so we'll talk about it properly next year, I guess.
Yeah, get that listened to, and then
I think
we'll
it's going to pure speculation. I really liked the Marvels comic, and I think it's a great idea for a podcast because that kind of element worked really well in the Wolverine podcast.
Yeah, that's fair. You've also got the benefit of it being told from a normal person perspective, so your narration doesn't have to be too fantastic for it. It can be quite grounded, which is
I think it's going to be fun.
Cool, actually, yeah.
But I'm not paying for it. It's a podcast.
Podcasts are free. We have an agreement.
We do.
Ours is free, so everyone else's should be.
Quite. Anyway, shall we talk about the poster and the announce date for Locke Key on Netflix? Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that.
Mate! It was only it's very recent, but it's 7th of February. We will get Locke Key on Netflix, so that's soon.
That is real soon.
I'm quite excited. And the poster shows the head key in the back of someone's neck, which is
that's cool.
It's quite macabre. It's definitely a statement of intent.
Yeah, I wish I'd have known this beforehand because one of the songs I was planning to play one week is Head Games, which is featured in Head Games from Locke Key. You should have told me this in advance, man.
Well, maybe we should look at knowing what each other's going to say on the news. Maybe we could.
Sometimes we send each other things and we do know in advance.
We do sometimes, but then sometimes we don't. But yeah, I was already very excited, but the poster's pretty cool. So, no footage yet. So maybe you can play Head Games when there's footage.
Maybe.
When there's like a trailer.
I suppose I can wait slightly.
Indeed. I'm sure you've got a lovely song for us later on in the show.
Maybe I do.
Quite. So, we did mention trailers.
We did mention
a rather important trailer has dropped, and I have a feeling we might talk about this too much and then have to rush the comics, the actual chat about, the premise of this podcast. But Black Widow trailer, Zach.
I think we can rein this in.
Black Widow trailer
looks really, really good.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, I've got some questions, but you probably don't have my answers, so it's fair.
You can ask them.
My biggest question is, when is this set?
And it's before Infinity War, but after Civil War.
But, okay. Yeah, all right. I can live with that.
Because I think she's a fugitive in this, right?
It looks that way.
So that means it's definitely after Civil War.
Yes.
And she's not dead, so it's before.
Yeah, that's before Endgame.
Before Endgame.
Glad we've cleared that one up.
Yeah.
Looks really, really good. Cast looks really good. You got your ScarJo, you got your Yell Bell, you got your.
I'm sorry.
I dedicated to the ScarJo thing and abbreviated everyone. You got your Rawies? Yeah.
Just say the name,
Zach. You got your Deha.
Stop this.
Okay, you got David Harbour.
He is good.
William Hurt back as Thunderbolt Ross. You've got other such cast members whose full names I can't remember. Rachel Wise.
Ray Y.
Yeah, Ray Wise I wrote down here. It looks like a really good cast, and it looks like a really promising film.
Well, I want to go back to the very, very start, where there was a bit of Hawkeye and a bit of Nick Fury, and I was like, is this old footage or is this new footage? It's old footage.
It is old footage,
so it's not confirmation that those characters are going to be in the film. It's kind of like the way they did with Endgame, where there's quite a bit of old footage at the start of the trailer, almost like as a recap, which is quite... It shows the depth of the Marvel Universe, but it's also quite useful as well when you're watching the trailer.
Yeah, it is. I know that on IMDb, Tony Stark is listed as being a character in it, though, so I don't know if he's literally going to be there, if we're just going to see some flashbacks, or... But Robert Downey Jr., at least.
Interesting.
But I don't know, maybe that's the thing we're going to get, and, we'll get some fleeting appearances from him in people's memories and whatnot.
Yeah, so you mean, like, he hasn't recorded any new footage, but there might be...
Yeah, I mean, then again, if it is set before Endgame, he could be...
He's still alive, isn't he?
Alive and kicking.
Spoilers.
It's a bit late now.
It is a bit late, isn't it?
You've already dropped that, Black Widow dies.
I did.
So.
That's true. Spoilers. Did you notice where it was set? Budapest.
Oh, okay. Evidently, I did not notice that, but probably should have.
Like the long-running gag of what happened in Budapest. I think we're going to find out what happened in Budapest.
Okay,
There's that image of Budapest at the very start. So we're going to Budapest.
Nice.
Which I think is, if you're going to do a Black Widow film, having already killed her, answering that, everyone and if you're a relatively big fan, you get the ongoing gag about Budapest.
But that would mean this is set before the first Avengers.
Or it might just be that they go back to Budapest.
You can never go back to Budapest.
Can you never? I've never been to Budapest. I'd totally go to Budapest.
Maybe one day. We'll do a kind of, live podcast trip to Budapest, me and you.
I mean, that is an idea.
Sounds like a high-budget idea, but...
It does. Do we have the budget for that, Zach?
I don't, but maybe you've got some secret stash somewhere, I don't know. Will?
No.
Yeah, I thought you'd say that.
No.
Anyway, back to Black Widow.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to do a good job of filling out the MCU as well, to introduce some of the Russian characters we've seen in Widow comics. Obviously, David Harbour, Red Guardian, is going to be...
I'm so excited about Red Guardian. He just looks so happy.
Yeah, he looks really good. I'm looking forward to it. And I think it's good to show that there is an international leg of the MCU that we don't always acknowledge.
Yeah, and they are very much embracing that going forward with Shang-Chi and another Wakandan film. Black Panther film, not Wakandan film.
Nope, you've gone with it now, Wakandan film.
Another Wakandan film, and I think, the diversification, is this a word?
That is a word, and that's the word you need.
Is good. So I think, and what is interesting is, even the trailer shows you that there's a lot of Black Widows, including her sister, and we're going to get another Black Widow, aren't we?
I think it's possible. One of the things I've written down is that Agent Carter, I think it was season 2,
right,
focused quite heavily on the Red Room and there being, prior Black Widows. So as Agent Carter did get cancelled, I am kind of wondering if we're going to see some of the things from that.
Yeah. I only watched the first season of Agent Carter. I should probably watch the second.
I still maintain, I think, by far it is my favourite Marvel show. So,
really?
Really, really, yeah.
More than Punisher?
Definitely, yeah.
More than Daredevil?
Yeah.
More than Runaways? More than all of the shows that I really like?
Yes. More
than the X-Men cartoon?
I mean, that's not really fair, is it? But Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, okay.
Agent Carter.
More than Iron Fist?
That's adorable.
More than Inhumans?
That first episode of Inhumans was a torture for me. But Agent Carter was a triumph.
I went to watch the first episode of Inhumans at the cinema.
Oh, I know the people that did. I feel so bad for all of you. But Nonetheless, I hope that we kind of see some of the things that are put together in that kind of come to fruition in this, and we see like a continuation of the Red Room story, because we've already had, bits from Widow, we've had bits in Agent Carter. I think if we can see all of that stitched together, would be really nice.
I would too, but mine is from a more a more selfish point of view. Because if they're acknowledging Agent Carter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and making sure that's still a part of the Marvel Universe, it means that there's still a chance for the shows I like Daredevil and Punisher. And I've read somewhere that they won't be bringing back Iron Fist, but the others are potential. Because I'd love to see Wilson Fisk in a Spider-Man film, and it can't be anyone other than guy who played Wilson Fisk, whose name I've forgotten.
I love guy who played Wilson Fisk,
because he's great. He is great.
Yeah, he is, and I think that's the thing. I think the Daredevil, all the Netflix shows really have shown some really good, strong casting for a lot of these characters.
Yeah,
and I think recasting them or not using them again would be a shame. So.
I do.
But I feel the same way about Agent Carter. I mean, obviously we've seen Peggy Carter in different things, and we've seen Jarvis and Howard Stark. But these are all the casting for all of them was like, yeah, this is spot on. You should.
Yeah, it would sadden me if they recast and rebooted. I mean, you got away with it with Hulk. You got away with it with Rhodey, but it was still the same character. It wasn't. It was the Rhodey played by good Rhodey.
Yeah, you didn't pretend any of the previous stuff away.
Yeah, and it didn't. It's just the same. It's the same plot line for that character, but with another actor. It's not a new Rhodey.
No.
So if they do recast, I hope that it acknowledges that
stuff has already happened.
Yeah, and but the casting was great.
Yeah,
Charlie Cox and lady who played Jessica Jones. I'm not doing well with actor names today.
I want to say she's Kristen
Ritter.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, that's my selfish take on that. But I think
totally
you're right.
fair.
I think it would be nice. I might go back and watch. Is it free on Amazon or anywhere like that at the moment?
I don't know. I've got it all on Blu-ray. So.
Ooh, gimme,
right.
Please.
Cool. Okay.
Brilliant. I am going to watch Agent Carter Series 2 now because I can. Because free. Woo.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think Black Widow, really excited.
Yeah.
Love the cast, and yeah, I'm just quite into it. I think we'll see more in the next trailer and probably get a few more hints of what the full plot's going to be, but what we've seen so far, I'm in.
Really liked Taskmaster.
Yeah,
he was only
totally
in it for like
fair.
a few seconds, but I don't remember him in the comics being super bow guy.
I think he does have a bow, but he's also got a sword and a shield, so
yeah,
you can't use them all at once, Mark.
But is it some kind of Hawkeye link? Got excited about that.
I mean, I think in the comics we're told that his bow powers have come from Hawkeye, so maybe. I assume his sword powers have come from what, Swordmaster, or
maybe
someone else with a sword. I know he got his shieldiness from Captain America, but that's kind of a obvious.
Well, doesn't Red Guardian have a shield as well? There's going to be quite a lot of shieldiness.
All the shields. Love a good shield.
Wouldn't it be cool if one of them was made out of adamantium?
That would be cool. I think you might be a little bit too hopeful.
I know. But this is the thing. This is a great trailer, and it's completely made me speculate lots and lots of stuff. What I did do was read the comments on YouTube.
Never do that.
No, I know. And there were like 100 people cracking the same, just uncountable numbers of people cracking the same joke, even though it had already been cracked. Spoiler: she doesn't die. Sigh.
I mean, you feel like that in most MCU films, though, surely. That they probably survived this one.
The first time it wasn't funny.
And it's not funny after a second time.
No.
Yeah, fair.
No. These people who think they is dead witty is not.
No. Yeah,
No.
that's totally fair. I am.
No.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, me too.
It's going to be good.
And it's quite soon, isn't it? Is it May?
It's either. It might be May, actually, yeah.
So we get Locke Key first.
Yes. Yeah, we do.
We've got a good... Just after today's news, we've got a good year coming up.
Yeah, I think we're going to get some good comic book stuff and quite varied comic book stuff as well next year.
Which is important.
It is.
So yeah, Black Widow. Well excited.
That was the thing, actually, going back to your X-Men comment of Adamantium.
Yeah.
If we are going to get prequels, you can kind of start sowing the seeds for Fantastic Four, X-Men, whoever you want to bring in, and then maybe the gap closes a little bit for the introduction of new people.
Yeah.
You've sown the seeds and gone, aha, but we sowed these seeds years ago. Prequels and that.
There you go.
Something to think about.
I think they might do that.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Sounds like a very Marvel move.
Right.
Yeah.
This is on record that if it's a adamantium shield...
Mark said it first.
I called it. Right, have you got any more news? I don't think I have.
That's me all done for news.
That's big news, though.
Yeah, it is.
Big news this week.
Real big news.
Good news. Big news.
Real big news.
Shall we do the...
let's do comics.
Yeah, let's do comics.
But first, Mark, where do you get your comics?
Where do I get my comics? That's a very good question, Zach. I get my comics from Travelling Man. They happen to be the sponsors of our show.
You don't say.
Yeah. They are your local comic book shop in Manchester, Leeds, York and Newcastle.
Yep.
And they are brilliant. They will sort you out with your pull. They also sell board games and nerdy stuff for card games and graphic novels and manga and clothes. Yeah, they sell some clothes.
T-shirts mostly. Entirely, let's be honest. But
they are clothes.
Yeah, clothes.
I'm sure you can get at.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And they're dead good. And the reality is they are a local business. They're not a gigantic corporation. And they support us and we are dead grateful. So if you live in one of those cities, maybe consider going to your local comic book shop, Travelling Man.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
I liked it.
What's your pull, Zach?
So Pull is kind of a loose subscription service in which you go in and Travelling Man or your local comic shop go, hey, so this comic you're buying, you want to add it to your pull? And you'll go, nah, probably not. Or maybe you will want to get more of that comic. Like sometimes we do. And on those occasions...
Roughly one in 3 times.
Statistically, I'd say that's probably accurate. And they'll, kind of save all coming issues of whatever title for you. And if you decide you've had enough of that, you can stop having it. Or pass, I guess, would be the term we'd use. Yeah. Or you can, stick with it forever until you've read all the Spider-Man and the world's ended.
And yeah.
And I think that's a pretty accurate description of the pull. And yeah, it's all kind of, you don't have to pay until...
Cash.
You actually turn up and buy it, and
yeah, I left my pull for about 3 weeks, and
I went that.
And I went and got it, and yow, that
it mounts up fast.
Yeah, that felt like quite a lot of money.
My thing.
But when I looked through the comics, there wasn't any that I wanted to cancel on. So
yeah, which is good.
But I think having a pull where you don't get like a direct debit and stuff like that, if you do end up doing what I did. It does make you think about how much you want them as well. It's actually dead useful.
It's true. It is a good service, and
yeah. And I can't think of any other kind of shop that does that sort of thing for you.
No, everywhere else is kind of you said you want it, you're going to buy it, man.
Yeah, it's a comic book shop exclusive. So there you go.
Sure.
And it inspired our show.
It did.
It did.
Look at us, here we are.
Yeah.
Inspired in that.
10 issues, that's more than some comic book runs.
Really? Twice in one episode?
I know. Right, let's talk about the comics. This week we read Conan Serpent War 1 by Marvel, Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 by, I don't know.
Boom and IDW.
Yeah, whatever.
Boom DW.
And
ID Boom.
We've gone with 20XX by Image.
Yep.
Could be any kind of pronunciation, but it is 20 and then 2 X's, so 20XX.
I've dabbled with everything this week. 20XX, 2000XX, anything.
Yeah.
And somehow I've also not chosen to play any songs by the XX this week, and this was the week. Damn.
I've never even heard of the XX.
Oh, you'd love them.
I'm sure.
Should
we talk about that first?
We can do, yeah.
All right. It's by Jonathan Luna, who everything I've read by him, really, really heart.
Yeah, you recommended Girls to me, I think.
Yeah, well, I was going to talk about Girls later on, but let's do it now. There's an ad on the back of 20XX advertising all of the stuff that Jonathan Luna's done, and it advertises Girls, and I was like,
and it's
fantastic,
not in print.
It's back in print. It's not back in print.
Oh. I I did learn...
That really irritated me because I want to read... I've only read the first issue, there's 4 trades. I've read the first trade, and they're all out of print, including the collected. And then when it was advertised on the back, I was going, brilliant, they're gonna reissue them. They haven't.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the point of advertising it was to go, that's not in print though, guys. So.
No, that really, really sucks, and that really did irritate me because it, I'd wanted to read it for a long time.
I mean, it's probably the kind of thing you can pick up somewhere online, but
still,
I wouldn't like to say how much it'll cost you.
Yeah, and I've had a look on eBay. It's not cheap.
And I know there is like an omnibus edition of all of it in one,
which is actually even more expensive to buy.
That sounds about right.
Than the 4 separate trades.
But he does have a few other titles. I've always been curious about Alex and Ada.
Yeah,
but I've never read it, and after seeing the advert again, I'm like, maybe this is the time where I'll actually look into reading it.
It's probably out of print.
Probably, but I know you can get like a big hardback of it all, and I'm assuming that's still available.
It just seems really dumb advertising stuff that people can't buy.
Yeah, it's a little counterintuitive, but it doesn't take away from 20XX.
No, it doesn't. You're right. I really like the cat.
Cat's good. Really nice cat. Is he Atwood?
Yeah, Atwood the cat. Yeah. The Atwood the cat reminded me of my cat, and I guess that's what I think in a lot of ways
all cats should do.
Yeah, but my cat's an interesting cat. But what I mean is, if you're putting a cat in that's a significant part of the plot, it needs to be catty, and it needs to remind people of their cat. And I get the good morning face when you wake up and there's a cat right in front of you. I get that. And then the cute curling up, my cat does that. And it just made me go, cat. I
think we need to do an After Dark special about our favourite comic book cats.
I would talk forever about cats.
I think that's... We'll
cats.
Put that out there for people who need it. But
I like cats.
So, premise-wise, it's kind of a, not so distant future, world-threatening plague with a 1% survival rate. But if you do survive, you'll have superpowers. And that's an interesting premise. It's a good one, isn't it, really?
There's all what was more important to me than them having superpowers. It was a story about prejudice. And it was a story about how people who are seen as other are treated abominably and haven't got protection in law, and that that resonates with me. Which, funnily enough,
that is something that I've written down. Is that it's kind of, although it's this sci-fi premise, it is a vehicle to deal with quite big real world issues like prejudice and phobia of people with an illness, and all things that are still far too common in the real world. So I think as a way of commenting on all of those things, I thought it was really well done.
They're called Sims in this, but they could as well have been called mutants or gay people or black people or it's done in a way that you can see how that's happening in the world right now. Yeah. And it's very, very good.
It is.
It really is very good, and I guess I didn't expect it to be anything other than good because it's by Jonathan Luna, but I think, like I say, to some extent it resonated with me, and it is about the reality of how harsh and tribal people are.
Yeah, it is a really interesting read, and Jonathan Luna, I think it's his first comic in black and white, it says in the back.
Yeah, what was the reason for that? I don't get it.
I don't know.
Am I being dumb?
See, the conclusion I reached is, so you know how The Walking Dead was in black and white, so you were focused on the story, not the gore of a horror film?
Right, yes.
So I kind of feel like this is in black and white almost to make you focused on the characters and what's being said, rather than the fact that it's this futuristic, slightly futuristic sci-fi story. I feel like it might be black and white to draw your focus somewhere else, almost. Okay. Which, that was the kind of conclusion I came to, because the themes are pretty strongly there, I guess. That was badly... That was a bad sentence, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it made sense.
I feel like the art was almost... either that, or it's maybe it was just a personal challenge of he always does stuff in colour, so let's do something in black and white. But either reason, good reasons I can understand. I think it does draw focus to what's happening with the characters, and that's good.
Yeah, I think so.
I also quite liked...
I like the art. I just didn't quite work out why it was in black and white.
Well, when I opened it, I was sure it was going to be in colour, so that was a legit surprise for me. Like, it's black and white, it's okay.
I can't think of another like regular comic book that's in black and white since The Walking Dead finished.
There haven't been as many, recently, I think. And
you would have thought that something like The Walking Dead might have made it fashionable, and it didn't.
Yeah, that's very true. So maybe we'll see a bit more of that now. Maybe that's this creeping back. Maybe people were intentionally not doing black and white because Walking Dead were doing it.
Okay.
Could be.
Yeah, that's fair. Interesting.
But I really liked that. I liked the artwork. I kind of liked, and I know there's a big thing in comics of everyone's always talking about showing people and not telling you.
Yeah.
But there's kind of a conversation she has with a drunk guy in the bar they're in, where he basically just tells you the state of the world and kind of, and I was kind of like, all right, it's quite upfront with everything happens. It's like there's not much build. It's just the comic has started. This is the plague. This is where we're at. So I think they kind of skip quite a lot of world building they would have had to do by going, this man's just going to tell you how people feel about Sims.
It's clever.
And it's clever. It's just being dropped in by a ranting drunk man is like...
That's a clever...
You've let one drunk do all your world building.
Yeah.
And I kind of respect that because it's the opposite of what people are always saying they want. They're always saying we don't want a lot of exposition and we want everything to be shown
but
and
it's
not
very
told.
well done exposition.
So to be executed in a way that makes you think, actually, this 2 pages or 3 pages or whatever it was of dialogue has really nailed what the world is, and now I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, whatever you want from now. I'm fully up to speed on how everyone is.
Yeah. So Zach, 20XX, pull or pass?
Pull, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Pull.
Me too. I loved it. I really loved it.
I think Jonathan Luna does a great job, and I think it's Lauren Keeley who it's co-written with. I think
out of the 3,
good
this was the one that I thought I would pull, and I did, because it's brilliant.
See, I wasn't sure about this, because I felt like I didn't know a lot going in, and with future people with powers who were a separate group, I was worried it wouldn't be that different from other books. So I'm glad that it is, and I'm glad that I feel like there's a lot of substance here.
Fair enough. Do you want to talk about Conan, or do you want to talk about Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I think we're both going to respond the same way to both of them, but with our roles reversed. Okay. So, whichever you fancy.
Let's do Conan.
Okay.
Conan, Serpent War. Marvel are very much, we've got Conan, look, we've got Conan, we're going to do lots of Conan, and this, I didn't know, I just thought it was going to be like a Conan miniseries like they used to, where one storyline, something about serpents, Conan hits lots of stuff with swords. And that's not what this is.
I knew this was a crossover with all of the Robert E. Howard characters that Marvel have got the rights to.
Right.
Which is why we've got Solomon Kane and Dark Agnes in there.
Yeah.
Plus Moon Knight, because...
Yeah.
Because seems to be the reason. I'm going to... So this is the prologue I wrote for what I was going to say of... So the first time I tried to read this, I fell asleep.
Right, okay.
And the second time I read this, I found out why I fell asleep.
Well... There is some positives to this book. I thought that the first full page... I know I'm a sucker for a full-page spread, and I always say it, but the first full-page spread was a really good way of putting into art what reincarnation is. I liked that.
Yeah.
That was excellent. That was genuinely excellent. And the art is great. The art makes it feel very cinematic. It's almost like you're reading a film in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I do feel artistically, so it's 2 different artists, isn't it? It is, I've not written their names down, that's who it is.
Yes, and I rely on you for that.
I know, I'm the guy who does that. So it is Scott Eaton and Vanessa R. Del Rey.
Okay.
So she kind of does the James Allison sequences, and then Scott Eaton does everything else.
Right.
And I think the 2 art styles do fit. I think they are quite different at times. but artistically it's nice.
It's good quality art.
And we kind of get the single-page intros of each character, so we get Moon Knight in 2 pages, Dark Agnes in 2 pages, Conan in 2 pages, Solomon Kane, who I want to call Solomon Crow, and I know that's not right, in 2 pages.
Wow.
And all the presentation is really nice, but for me, what kind of bugged me about this is, so Conan, I think, was previously with Dynamite, who do Red Sonja, and
yes,
and this kind of didn't feel up to Marvel standards, because the Conan main series that Jason Aaron's doing has been pretty solid. But I feel like this is almost going back to those previous Conan roots of, it's a Conan book, and we've got other characters in there, because Conan crosses over with characters. And it almost feels like a crossover because they've got the properties, not because they needed to do it.
I would agree with that completely. And this issue feels like a classic get everyone together.
Yeah.
With a main mysterious character that brings everybody in.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen that 100 times. Because I'm an odd soul, it made me think of the 5 Doctors. Have you ever seen the 5 Doctors?
Yes, yeah.
And there's like a person who is manipulating everyone and bringing them together into the dead zone. It felt each of the 5 characters was nicely done. It was a nice little introduction. But it just felt so forced.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't feel like a very organic coming together of characters, even though they're all dealing with Set, the Serpent god, who we don't really find out much about. They're all dealing with the same threat across time and space, seemingly, and that brings them together with the help of our narrator, James Allison, who I know nothing of other than what we told here. I don't know if there is a James Allison before this. So.
Going back to, again, this 5 Doctors metaphor, I've really thought about it. Going back to 1985, when something like getting all 5 Doctors together was a huge deal.
Yeah.
Because it didn't happen. Crossovers weren't really a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big deal. And you could deal with the cheesy way of getting everyone together because they were then together. But crossovers are just
almost too common now.
They're a cash cow.
Yeah.
They're nothing but a cash cow. Everybody knows you make money off crossovers. Do as many crossovers as you can. And I just find them a little bit saturated. And something as contrived as this just didn't work for me, and I'm a little bit sad.
I could almost deal with if it was the Robert E. Howard crossover and we were getting Conan, Solomon, and Agnes together. I think it's and Moon Knight feels like you're clawing at Moon Knight here, and I'm not really sure.
Well, there's a Moon Knight TV show coming out, isn't there?
There is, but surely that makes more sense to keep pushing Moon Knight as a solo entity rather than as a team player, because he's rarely a team player, I think.
You're right.
So
it's a shame. I think it'll sell. But I think it's a completely unnecessary title that I'm not personally interested in.
It feels like a very long introduction. I think if we'd have seen a bit more substance, maybe I'd feel differently. But it feels like this could have been a free comic book day title that told you how they all got together, and the first issue could have kicked off with them all together.
That's interesting.
Rather than showing us how they all came together. Maybe that's me, but
so I think we're both going to say the same. But pull or pass?
It's a pass.
Yeah, it's a pass for me too. Unfortunately, there's a lot to like about it. The characterization is good. The art is great, but it just feels perhaps like one crossover too many for me.
Fair, totally fair. Yeah. So should we?
Talking about crossovers.
Yeah. I knew you'd hate this book. So, Boom Studios IDW have teamed up to do a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover. And it's exactly what I thought it was going to be.
What, terrible?
I mean, it's not terrible, Mark. I'm sorry. You're 10 years older than me, and this is where it's going to show.
So, right. The Power Rangers and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Have you watched The Toys That Made Us?
Yes.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one of that is really, really interesting because it tells you the story of how they kind of went from a quite brutal adult comic book to the family-friendly kind of children's-y stuff. And that's a fascinating documentary, and you should watch it. But what it does mean is, as the Turtles have, forgive me, evolved, it's almost like there are 6 or 8 different versions of the Turtles that aren't related at all. It's like, I don't know, alternative universes.
Yeah, it's very much a revamped and remade property, I think.
And they do keep the quintessential Leonardo's a bit stuffy, Raphael's rebellious, Michelangelo's light-hearted, and Donatello's nerdy. That maintains across them all. But I personally find the newer versions of the Turtles a little bit twee, a little bit aimed at a younger audience than me.
I can get that. I still like Turtles. I think the Michael Bay films get a really hard rep for some quite actually decent films.
Were they the recent ones?
Yeah.
They were fine.
They were, and I think they had, some good action, some good comedy. I think some of the more recent animated series have been good. I think it's been interesting to see, as time has gone on, that different artists who create different series put different spins on the Turtles and change what they can, because obviously there's not much of a costume, so kind of personalising who they are and changing the masks slightly to show that they are different guys and they've got different personalities to them.
They originally all had the same colour masks in the very first comics, which I learned from the Toys That Made Us. Great.
Also, to go to Toys That Made Us, though, they did also cover Power Rangers and told the story of Saban, and
which was fascinating.
I didn't know about the Stan Lee kind of initial involvement.
Neither did I.
But it's always interested me about the Sentai kind of adaptation, and we'll take the action footage from Japan and splice in some American teenagers, and that'll be our show. And
it worked better than it ever should have.
Yeah, it should be a terrible idea, and the fact that it works is really impressive. And again, it's another show that we've seen evolve since the early 90s through to now, and there's different versions every couple of years.
But whenever they do comics, it's the original 5 Rangers or 6 Rangers. They never do not that I know any of the other Power Rangers. I only know the original 5 or 6, depending on Tommy. And whenever you see comics, you don't see Power Rangers Neo or Power Rangers Samurai Strike or Power Rangers Cat and Dog or whatever the current one is.
You know they did that last year, right?
What?
Last year they did a huge Power Rangers event called Shattered Grid that's about the different realities of Power Rangers crossing over, and kind of there's an evil version of Tommy who shatters.
Well, there's an evil version of Tommy in this.
More evil.
Or is it a Tommy heel turn?
I think it's a Tommy heel turn or a Tommy kind of double bluff. But,
right.
So the Tommy we got in Shattered Grid was called Lord Draken, and he was kind of this super over the top, killing other Power Rangers to steal their abilities so he could be stronger and better. And
so it's kind of Sylar Power Ranger.
Yeah. Power Rangers comic books from Boom have been absolutely perfect. Up until
really?
Shattered Grid's great. It's kind of working to get to Shattered Grid, but when you get to that, it's like, this is a great idea, and this is a bringing together of a lot of series that don't interact enough.
Again, credit where credit is due. I can never remember the girl ranger, Pink Ranger. Kimberly. She fails in an assignment for school, and certainly in the telly program, you never saw that. It was all light-hearted and then kicky and then light-hearted again. And obviously it's been done, and done better, by Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where the work-life balance of being a teenage superhero and getting on at school was done really, really well in the Buffy series. But the fact that the Power Rangers are being treated a bit more grown up in this comic, I have to acknowledge that is good.
And again, I think that's something that the recent comic series has done well, is to kind of show the bits we didn't see.
Yeah.
And kind of acknowledge more of the personalities of the individuals, which has been really interesting. Like I said, so this is kind of... So Tommy's missing, and then he turns up as part of the Foot Clan. in the Turtles in New York, as you do.
Yeah.
Just a short walk from California. And I wasn't sure how they were going to bring things together, and the Tommy connection works.
Does it?
I think so, yeah. I think
An unexplained heel turn.
I mean, you got to have the heel turn and then explain it, haven't you? You know, you do the heel turn, and then the following week on Raw, you come out and explain why.
Okay. Suppose you're right.
I want the other side of it though. So you've got we see Shredder kind of as the mastermind villain at the end of it. I'm going to need him with like Rita and Lord Zed to kind of round off the crossover and be like, villains united, right? Come on, give me that. I don't know. I think the kid in me that loved Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers, this kind of delivers, and I think that's the target audience, is people who
You're right.
loved them both in the 90s. And
I expected it to be more wretched than it was. I expected it to be unreadable pap, and it was well done. I will give you that. It was well done.
Also, the cover's really good.
The cover's cool.
It's just really nice. It's got that nice Dan Moore art going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a pass for me, but I'm more impressed than I expected to be.
I get that. It's not a book that I think is going to change anyone's life, which I know is something we say on occasion.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to, think this is the comic of the year. But,
No.
But I think there's an audience for it. I think I'm part of that audience. So I am inclined to wait for the trade, though, because I've got all the other Power Ranger stuff in trade. So I'm kind
fair
of...
enough. So it's a pass then?
It's a passing trade.
It's a pass after all that.
If you like these two properties, you're going to love this.
That seems fair.
Cracking.
Let's talk about what we're going to read next week, Zach. Next week we've got Marvel's Avengers Iron Man by Marvel. We've got The Dark Knight Returns, The Golden Child by DC, and Kill Lock by IDW. What are you looking forward to the most out of those?
I think Killlock, maybe. It sounds...
We both tend to go for the indie.
We do tend to favour the indie, yeah. And sometimes there's reasons for that.
Yeah.
It just sounds like quite an interesting premise. I can't remember what it was, but I know it sounded interesting. Is it Robots in Space?
I think so.
There you go.
Yeah. Sci-fi, innit? We both like the sci-fis.
Yeah, sounds like a good, interesting premise.
For me, I'm most intrigued by Marvel's Avengers Iron Man because it's a completely separate Marvel universe that they're explicitly doing for the
video game,
the upcoming video game. And I'm going to buy the video game, and I'll probably play it for about 3 hours, and then I won't play it again. But that's not the point. I quite like the idea of reading the background before a video game. I think that's pretty cool, because a lot of video game comics are kind of like just done after the event, whereas this is actually going to lead into the this is actually going to lead into the comics, and this is something that Marvel are looking to expand as well. So I'm interested to see how they're going to do and whether or not it's something that's going to resonate with me. But I don't know whether I think it will. I'm trepidatious about whether or not it will, but I'm intrigued to find out.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair, and I am interested to see what they're going to do with it. So,
and as for The Dark Knight Returns, well, the first one was great.
Was it?
Yeah.
I'm going to, break down the reality of never read it.
You've never read The Dark Knight
Never
Returns,
read it.
The original?
Nope.
Good grief.
Or any of the follow-ups. I just...
The first one was great. The others were there. They weren't horrendous, but they were milking a cash cow.
Yeah, of course.
I've said cash cow twice now in this episode.
Double cash cow.
Double cash cow. There's a lot of that in comics.
Getting near a cash herd there.
Yeah, well, cash herd. But there's quite a lot of that in comics, milking a cash cow, and why wouldn't you?
True.
But this definitely is milking a cash cow.
Yes.
Let's hope it's good, though.
Yeah. We'll have a curious week, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Before we go, we just want to mention our Spotify playlist.
Yes.
All the songs that are played on this show are stuck onto the Pull or Pass playlist on Spotify, which includes, obviously, if you listen to the podcast version, you will be able to listen to them for the first time. If you like what we play, you're crazy, but you can listen to them for the second time. And it's got some of your stuff on it, Zach. Talk about your stuff.
Yeah, so it's got my Monster Mash cover on there, my George Clooney song on there, and as of last week, the Pull or Pass actual theme and the After Dark theme.
Cool.
Spotify caught up with me, Mark.
Yay.
Yeah.
So that's all we've got time for here on Pull or Pass this week. We've pulled, we've passed.
We're going to do it all again next week.
And we'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to Pull or Pass. To listen again, it's www.mixcloud.com/pull-or-pass.
Or you can listen to the podcast version on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, and all other good podcast sites.
Join our Facebook group, search for Pull or Pass Radio Show.
Follow us on Twitter @PullOrPass.